back in April, Kansas signed a bill into law that would place very serious restrictions on welfare recipients. They wanted to ensure that those welfare recipients high off the hog are not going to lavish places and spending government money when they don't deserve it, okay? So this is a tax on the poor, and it is absolutely ridiculous. The Washington Post has been writing about this, and I think that they've been doing a really good job. So let me give you an example about what this law does and why it's leading to a great deal of criticism. The law was meant to limit extravagant or unnecessary spending of taxpayer resources, and the legislation also barred the use of welfare funds at recreational locations like movie theaters, cruise ships, and swimming pools. So one thing that it would do is it would force beneficiaries to make more frequent trips to the ATM to withdraw money from the debit cards used to pay public assistance benefits. Since there's a fee for every withdrawal, the limit means that some families will get substantially less money. So what is the limit? The limit was or is $25 a day. So if you are a welfare recipient in the state of Kansas and you go to an ATM machine, you can withdraw $25 at a time. Except you can't withdraw $25 at a time because ATM machines only give you bills of $20, and that's it. So you can withdraw $20 at a time, and on top of that, our taxpayer money is going toward ATM fees instead of toward the recipients that should have that money to feed their freaking families. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is, the ATM fees, enough. Like, people who are well off, you know, we all have, many of us who are, you know, not super well off, but when you're doing okay and you want to go to the bank and take out $100, sometimes you see a $350 fee.
Yes.
You know what? I'll take out $300. It's still a $350 fee. I'm getting a better return on my, I'm getting $200 for free. It's still my money. It's just not in the bank right now, right? Well, I mean, let's not pretend. And they're like, oh, but if you go to if you go to your own bank, there's no fee. What difference does it make? It's computerized. There's no. They're all sharing money. It doesn't make any difference. You're not. It causes no inconvenience for Wells Fargo if you go to a Chase bank in any way, shape, or form. So they're just stealing from us. They are just stealing from us. And to add fees to people on welfare whose money is restricted, it's insane. First of all, poor people, you know what? Poor people should be exempt from fees.
Yeah.
I mean, we should all be exempt from fees. There's universal. Fox can decide that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm with everybody. Everyone should be exempt from fees, but particularly in this case, you can't restrict welfare. You can't restrict the amount of money people had. You can only restrict it based on the amount of money they have. If you have $800 in the bank, whether you're getting welfare or not, if you want to take out $800, you get to take out $800. It's your money,
exactly.
Right?
So I remember when I first moved to Los Angeles, and my roommate at the time, Jackie Flynn, his dad was from Boston, and he would always tell us, "Oh, you guys living out in California? You know what happened to California? They all the screwballs move out to California. They tilted it. They tilted the country, and all the screwballs ended up in California."
Oh, is that what happened?
That's what they would say. I think what happened somehow, we must have tilted that pinball machine back over, and all the screwballs are in Kansas. Because the question of what's the problem with Kansas is Kansas. That's what's the problem. Is there anybody who's not mental from Kansas? Is there anybody who doesn't want to demonize the poor from Kansas? Because that's all this is. And Chris Hayes had one of these state senators on who was doing stuff like this, and the guy he couldn't stop smiling. Mm-hmm. He was one of these, well, you know, we're just trying to, just total. And so what this is the lowest thing you can do. This is shitting on people lower on the economic ladder. This is shitting on people who are already struggling. This is demonizing people with no money and no power. That's what, and you're pretending that the problems in Kansas, which they're closing down their schools now because they just gave tax breaks to corporations and millionaires, so they're closing down their schools, and now they want you to be pissed off at poor people, not the idiots who cut the taxes for the people who have all the money in the state. No. You're going to be mad at the people with no money and no power. My brother's like that. He watches too much cable news, meaning Fox, and he's angry at people on welfare. They did a survey, and that some research company, and they found out that people on welfare own stuff. And man, did that drive my brother crazy. I go to his house, he goes, you know, Jimmy, you know that 50% of the people who on welfare consider themselves poor and they own a microwave? I go, holy shit. They have the ability to warm up a Hot Pocket, and they think they're poor. They're probably laughing at us over a cup of noodles right now, Anna. So this is what this is. This is demonizing the poor, and of course they won't when they report it. Scott Pelley reports it. Whoever, Lester Holt, they're not going to say, "Hey, Kansas demonizing the poor some more." Hey, scapegoating people not responsible for their state's problems. Hey, the most screwed up state in the nation right now, which is going to be bankrupt pretty soon because they don't want to tax the people with the money. Right now, they're screwing over that's not how they're going to say it.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a quote from somebody who's demonizing the poor, saying they aren't, and a quote from someone who's trying to stick up for them, and then they're going to go back to you. I guess, are they being shitty to the poor people? I guess we'll never know, but I'm neutral.
Which is why I'm really happy that the Washington Post is exposing what's really going on. And let's say any particular person doesn't really care about the poor people getting screwed over in this case. It's not just those who rely on welfare that are getting screwed over. It's the American taxpayer that's also getting screwed over. Because look at this number. It's amazing. Experts have suggested the welfare policy change could result in a $100 million cut in money Kansas receives from the federal government. And part of the reason why is because the money that's supposed to go to these recipients is no longer going to the recipients in its entirety. It's going to the banks in the form of these fees, right? So we're giving banks even more money thanks to this ridiculous policy that's been passed by
Why don't we have government leaders who say if you're getting welfare recipients, they don't get any ATM fees? That's what any logical person would do. And then to turn around and tell people that you can only take out $25 at a time. Sometimes even poor people need $38 because they have to buy something. Suppose they have 4 kids and they got to go to Walmart and they don't really have a credit card. They don't have... It's outrageous, and you're so right, Jimmy. They're just demonizing them, and they're looking in some part to fix these giant policy missteps that they've made, and they're trying to fix it because they found 1 or 2 or 8 stories of people misusing, in our word, benefits.
Somebody did an investigation of, are they really misusing the funds? Are the people getting their welfare in Kansas? Where are they spending? So the newspaper did an investigation. They found out less than 1% of withdrawals on these welfare debit cards were happening at places like casinos. Less than 1%. So I think that means there isn't a problem.
By the way, another thing that
Thank you for pointing that out.
That we should mention is if you really want to talk about government money that's being spent in the wrong places, I mean, there are these government-issued credit cards that go to military officials and people in the Defense Department. There was recently an audit of what these individuals are spending that money on. They are spending it on strip clubs, and they are spending it on casinos, and they are spending it on booze. And that kind of story, that kind of government waste doesn't get as much attention, right? But a story like this, where you are demonizing poor people because you think that they're like living this lavish lifestyle on like $27 a week for food stamps, that'll blow up, right? And it's just a perfect example of the Hunger Games scenario that we're dealing with. People in the working class and the middle class are just attacking each other instead of attacking the system that's fucking us all over.
Like, why don't we just, how great would it be if all of a sudden one party, I don't know which party it would be, let's think. If one party just said, here's, what we're going to do? We're going to continue to not send any of you bankers to jail. And, we'll keep Dodd-Frank, and you guys have figured out a way kind of around that, and you can still engage in your derivatives trading. But we're going to take every dollar that you got in ATM fees over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
We're going to take all of it. We're going to take all of it, and we're going to invest in infrastructure and education, and we're going to take all that money and sort of funnel it down. Not give it to the poorest people, but we're going to use that for things that will help them and make the country sort of stronger. We're going to maybe enhance the rail system, maybe make sure those trains don't go off the rails. We're going to build some schools, because how much money would that? 10 years. 10 years. You know what the banks will be? Fine.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. It'll take them, may take them a year or 2 to get back up to speed. Oh, it'll be so great. And as a result, we're not really going to regulate you for a little bit more. You're going to get to continue to do business as usual, but I'm going to need all that money. All of it. It'll be so great.